We all have that one daydream, you know the one. You're cleaning out the attic or rummaging through an old shoebox at the back of the closet, and you stumble across something you haven't thought about in decades. Maybe it's dusty, maybe it looks a little ordinary. But then you take it to an expert and your entire world shifts on its axis. For most of us, that remains a dream. But for one unassuming Army veteran on the US version of Antiques Roadshow, that dream became a spine-tingling reality. In a moment that has since gone viral, leaving viewers and collectors alike with their jaws on the floor, a humble guest discovered that a watch he bought on a whim, and barely wore, was worth more than a luxury car. But this isn't just a story about money. It's a story about listening to good advice, preserving history, and the incredible payoff of patience. The Time Machine, Germany, 1960. To understand the gravity of this appraisal, we have to hop in a time machine and travel back to Zweibrücken, Germany in the early 1960s. The Cold War was chilly, Elvis was on the radio, and our guest was a young soldier serving his country. He was preparing to rotate back home to the United States, closing a chapter on his military service abroad. At the time, he had a sergeant, a mentor figure, who pulled him aside with a piece of life advice that would echo through the next 6 decades. My sergeant recommended that before I came back to the States, buy a Rolex watch, the veteran told the Antiques Roadshow appraiser, Peter Plains. The sergeant didn't mince words. He told the young soldier that he believed Rolex made the best watch ever made. His advice was simple: make sure you get one before you go home. Now put yourself in this soldier's combat boots. He wasn't rich. In fact, he revealed on the show that his salary at the time was just under $100 a month. When he walked into the PX post-exchange, he saw the watch he liked, a Rolex GMT Master. The price tag? $120. That is a staggering amount of money relative to his income. Imagine spending more than a month's worth of your total pre-tax salary on a single accessory today. It was a massive financial stretch. It was a risk. It was a lot of money, the veteran admitted, looking back at his younger self. He even bought a second watch for his father for $104, but he splurged the extra cash on the Rolex for himself. He handed over the cash, took the box, and headed home. The safe queen. This is where the story takes a turn that makes collectors scream at their television screens, in a good way. Usually when a young man buys a high-end tool watch, especially a Rolex GMT Master, designed for pilots and travelers, he wears it, he scratches it, he dives with it, he bangs it against door frames. Over 60 years, the bezel fades, the bracelet stretches, and the dial gets sun-damaged. Not this gentleman. I hadn't heard or seen a Rolex before, he explained. He didn't view it as a tool. He viewed it as a treasure. Instead of strapping it on for daily wear, he treated it as a precious keepsake. He looked at it, admired it, and then he put it away. For daily use, he wore a cheap watch, saving the Rolex for special occasions that rarely came. Because of this reverence for the item, the watch didn't just survive the last half-century, it effectively froze in time. The reveal. Enter Peter Plains. Fast forward to the present day. The veteran finds himself standing across from Peter Plains, a seasoned expert for Antiques Roadshow. From the moment Plains laid eyes on the table, the energy shifted. This wasn't just another old watch. Plains began to geek out, and rightfully so. He identified the watch as the first model GMT Master that Rolex ever made. It was a piece of horological history. But what truly blew the expert away wasn't just the model. It was the condition. This watch is immaculate, Plains marveled. The dial was perfect. The luminous markers hadn't crumbled. The hands were pristine. But then Plains pointed to the accessories spread out on the table. This is the part that separates the cool finds from the legendary finds. The veteran hadn't just kept the watch, he kept everything. The original box, the original brochure, the hang tags, the guarantee papers. The original receipt from the PX in Germany. When Plains asked why he kept all that clutter that most people throw in the trash immediately, the veteran offered a shrug that was charmingly modest. "I don't know," he said. "I'm just lucky, I guess." The numbers game. Then came the moment everyone was waiting for. The valuation. You could see the veteran bracing himself. He knew the watch was nice. He probably assumed it had appreciated. Maybe it was worth $1,000? Maybe $2,000? If you would have told me $1,500, I would have been happy, the veteran later confessed. Peter Plains started the wind up. I'm very pleased to tell you that this watch today at auction is a very, very collectible watch, Plains started, his voice steady but intense. Just the watch on its own merit would be worth today between $35,000 and $45,000. Boom. The veteran's eyes widened. That alone is a life-changing return on a $120 investment. That is a new car. That is a home renovation. But Plains wasn't finished. He held up a hand. There was more. But this watch is worth much more, Plains continued. Why? Because of that lucky decision to keep the trash. Because of the box. Because of the paper receipt. In the world of high-end collecting, provenance is king. A full set allows a collector to buy the entire story, not just the metal. Plains dropped the hammer. Because you saved the box and all the paperwork for it, easily today it's $65,000 to $75,000 in the market. I'm speechless. Silence. For a split second, the veteran looked like he had been struck by lightning. He literally couldn't speak. The air left the room. $75,000. From a monthly salary of under $100 to a retirement nest egg sitting in a small green box. Wow. The veteran finally managed to exhale, shaking his head in disbelief. I had no idea. I'm speechless. It was one of those rare, beautiful moments of unscripted television. There was no arrogance, no greed, just pure, unadulterated shock. A humble man who took care of his things, listened to his mentor, and was rewarded by the universe in a way he never could have predicted. The lesson for the rest of us. Why do stories like this resonate so deeply with us? It's not just about the cash. Though $75,000 is certainly nice, it's about the validation of the past. It's about the fact that a surgeon in 1960 gave a young kid advice, and that kid listened. It's about the discipline it took to not wear the watch every day. It's about the care taken to preserve a seemingly worthless receipt for 60 years. It reminds us that the things we own tell a story. Sometimes that story is sentimental. And sometimes, if you're really, really lucky, that story is worth a fortune. So the next time you're cleaning out your drawers and you see that old box of papers or that outdated gadget you kept for no reason, maybe think twice before you throw it out. You might just be sitting on your own Antiques Roadshow jackpot.